How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, this weekend, the Saints are going to be hosting the Sale Sharks at Sin Stadium. What a perfect Christmas gift would it be to come away with a huge win, especially considering we lost to them earlier on in the year. Now, the Sharks, they haven't exactly been in the best of form. Out of the past 5 games, they've lost 4, and they did end up beating Clermont 35-14. But prior to that, they lost to Glasgow. They lost to Exeter, Leicester, and the Sarries. So right now we are in prime position to come away with a huge win. We have just beaten the Bulls 55 in a very convincing performance. We beat Section Palois. Yes, we did lose to Bristol in I am still traumatized with that game, and our defensive structures were just absolutely horrendous. We were in just shocking form, but we beat the Sarries 43-31, and we also beat Newcastle 36-19. So we are in a very, very good position. We got our players playing some seriously good rugby. Our backs are really performing. Our forwards, yes, we can be a little bit often, we can be a little bit shaky at times, but we have players like Alex Coles, JJ van der Mecht, Henry Pollock, Callum Chick, Trevor Davison, Kundiona. He's been putting in mad performances recently. So this is going to be a fantastic game to watch, because the Sharks, they always come, they are very powerful, they're very strong, and they are no doubt going to want to come away with a big win up against the Saints. Now, if we look head to head, we actually have the better of them. So albeit, yes, they did end up beating us earlier on in the year, 27-24. But prior to that, we beat them 47-17, 21-17. They beat us back in 2023, 2015. And prior to that, in Feb of 2023, we beat them 38-34. So this normally tends to be a pretty high scoring game. And it's going to be a hard fought fight. The Sharks are no doubt gonna want to improve their form, and coming off of a win up against Clermont, who are very, very difficult. They are going to be coming in with high hopes and a lot of motivation. But with the Saints side, I think we have everything that is needed to be able to fend off a very strong Shark side. And I think the players that we do have in form and putting in some top tier performances are definitely going to help us. Now, I have given my predicted 23, who I think is going to start up against the Sharks, given a little bit of rotation. So I want to break this down, because honestly, I think we have a good amount of depth in our squad to be able to rotate quite well. Yes, I don't think Tommy Freeman is going to be back. I think he is still fighting that hamstring injury, but we do have a good amount of players that are coming back from injury. Players like Todoro, who's coming back from his red card. I do believe this is going to be his first game back since he received that red card. And just give players a little bit of a rest, a little bit of rotation, especially considering the amount of rugby that's being played recently. So let's get into my predicted 23. So taking a look at this, I think I've changed up a little bit. I think giving some players a bit of rest, but keeping our core structure in place is going to be essential for this, because ultimately we do want to be competing on at least 2 fronts this year. One is going to be the Gallagher Prem. The second is going to be the Champions Cup. Unfortunately, when it comes down to the Saints, the Prem Cup always falls so far behind. They pretty much just play the weakest squad physically possible. But when it comes down to the Prem, I think this year we actually have a very good shot of coming away with a win, coming away with a potential playoff place, much better than what we had last year. We have some seriously good players putting in some serious performances. So looking at the squad, Fischetti, Craig Wright, and I've actually put Kundiona to start this game instead of Trevor Davison. I think the performances that he's put in deserves a start, and I've put Trevor Davison on the bench as an impact player. Obviously, he's the kind of player that can definitely make a change. Kundiona, he's been strong, he's been powerful, and I think we are going to need that straight out the gate. And then have someone like Trevor Davison maybe come on and cause a bit of havoc. Alex Coles and JJ, I feel right now they are going to be, they are going to be key. Yes, we do have the likes of, players like Chunya Munga who could potentially come on, but I'm keeping the likes of Coles and JJ. In terms of the back row, I have Josh Kemeny, Henry Pollock, and Callum Chick. I'm actually moving Henry Pollock down to the 7 position instead of the 8. I do think having Callum Chick come in at 8 again, and then having someone like Henry Pollock at 7 will definitely add that extra bit of energy. I think this is something that we are going to need to see for the Sale game, especially considering the energy that Sale bring, the physicality that they do bring. Having someone like Henry Pollock really causing havoc, being there, annoying the living, daylight out of everybody, and just, it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's that thing that he brings to the squad, where, or at least to a game, where he starts to cause havoc, but he also ups the tempo of the game. So he's there, he's going to be snatching, he's going to be, working at the breakdown, he's going to be causing havoc, and he wants to be part of the game, whether he's making those beautiful runs. I mean, he's got a lot of pace on him as well, as we saw in the last game. He's got a lot of power in him, so he will happily put some people on their backside. But not only that, he's a very clever player, especially at such a young age. So I think Pollock and Callum Chick are definitely going to cause Sale a lot of issues, and then maybe have someone like Sam Graham or Pearson come on, once Sale have been beaten, once they've been tired out, and then, just kind of finish the game. I am keeping Alex Mitchell at the 9, and then I am actually bringing in Anthony Belleau. I think Finn Smith has been playing a good amount of rugby. I want to give Finn just a little bit of time, especially after the Champions Cup games. Having Anthony Belleau, getting him a bit of time, keeping him sharp as well. And obviously he is able to move that ball around so quickly, and he definitely is able to create a lot of magic out of nothing. So I want to see a little bit more Alex Mitchell, Anthony Belleau happening. Both players are essential. I did put McParland on the bench. I do feel that he really is the understudy to Alex Mitchell right now, and potential successor. So we might definitely see a bit of McParland at the back end of the game, but I do feel if Alex Mitchell is ready, he's fit, he's starting. And then in terms of my wingers, now this is where I change up a little bit. So Ollie Slytom, he's fit, he's ready at 14. He played very well in the last game, and I think he's going to keep that spot. Obviously, if Tommy Freeman was fit and ready, I would have had him here. But I do feel he is still, working off that hamstring injury. I don't think he's fit and ready to be back. Maybe he might get a little cameo appearance. He might get, a little something on the bench. I haven't put him in the squad at all. I don't think he's going to be ready, or at least match fit, within time, especially considering in the last game, the injury update that was given was, he's still working it off. So I don't think he's going to be ready for this game, not in time. But we do have a good amount of depth with Todoro coming back from that red card. We do have the likes of Hendy. We have, we have a good amount. Now, in terms of my center partnership, I am keeping that center partnership. I don't think we are going to get anything out of, changing it. I do feel, yes, we could have a couple bits and bobs here, but I want to keep that core. I want to keep Fraser Dingwall. I want to keep Rory Hutchinson, especially up against the Sharks. They are going to need to make something happen. They are very important players to the way the Saints go forward, and that ball carrying ability is just, you cannot overlook it. So these are going to be big players, and I'm kind of predicting for Hutchinson to get on the score sheet as well. And then, in terms of my fullback, I'm giving that to Hendy. So in the last game, he did end up starting at the 11 spot, which I've given to Eduardo Tadaro. I'm putting Furbank a little bit of rest. I've put him on the bench. I want to see Furbank maybe get a little bit of play time, but he is still, he's come back from an injury, but I don't think we want to be throwing him straight to the Wolves. I think we want to be giving a little bit of time, working him. And yes, now we finished with the Champions Cup. We back to the Prem. Let's give him a game, give him a little bit of rest. We don't want to be working him like a horse, and then ultimately get injured again. So I want to see Hendy move in at 15, have Todoro come in at 11, have Slytom at 14, and then obviously if we need the rotation, we can rotate. And then I've put Finn Smith and Furbank on the bench, so that if we need, we can then bring on these players to make a difference. So this is my 23. Obviously, Manny Eogun, Smith, Trevor Davidson, Graham, Pearson, McParland, Finn Smith, and then Furbank as the bench. I feel that this gives us a good amount of strength. It gives us a good amount of versatility as well if we need. We got a couple of different positions covered. And yeah, we've got a good amount of informed players that, like your Alex Coles, JJ van der Mech, who's just been named Player of the Month, Craig Wright, Kundiona has been invaluable in the performances that he's put in. Fraser Dingwall, Hutchinson putting in top tier performances. Alex Mitchell keeping the ball going. I want to see Finn Smith and George Furbank given just a little bit of rest, have them come on at the back end of the game, just to keep themselves, sharp and ready for what's coming next. But I want to be seeing a little bit more rotation, especially considering this is going to be a very long season. We want to be competing on at least two fronts: Prem and the Champions Cup. So if we are able to have players like Anthony Belleau, who is a top tier, he's a top tier 10, fit, ready, sharp, and then have that fight with Finn Smith, it will only do us better. It will only do us better. And then even someone like Sam Graham or Pearson fighting with the likes of Callum Chick, Henry Pollock, you got the likes of Kemeny as well, just that fight. And I think this is what we want to be seeing. We want to be seeing rotation. We want to be seeing a lot of our players in depth get more game time and basically keeping that form solid and ready to go. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and I'd love to hear where you guys think this game's going to go, because the Saints, they very much up and down. One week they are world beaters, the next we are having 40 points put past us, as we saw up against Bristol, where our players just aren't getting into their defensive lines. We are fluffing, everything. We're making unnecessary mistakes, and things tend to go south. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And I'll catch you guys later. Bye.